30-minute talk sessions, okay? In between the 30-minute talk sessions, we're going to have 10-minute intermissions. So that's when you can mix, mingle, use the bathroom, get something to eat, get something to drink, re-up, do what you got to do in that 10 minutes. But there are going to be 3 talk sessions, okay? Y'all got that? Number 2, speaking of talk sessions, so we're talking about love and entrepreneurship today. These people that are going to be before you speaking, they are not trained out of New Jersey, got a PhD in love. These are just people that have lived enough life to be able to talk about it, okay? They have enough perspective to be able to give us a little something, something. So, with that being said, if there's something that you hear that you may disagree with, it's okay to disagree. Don't y'all agree with me? It's okay to disagree. Matter of fact, if you are a mature adult that knows how to agree to disagree, let me hear you say, I'm grown as hell. That's how I want us to act today. Just be grown as hell, okay? So they're going to give you different perspectives on what they've been through, and let's just make sure we are respectful as possible. And the third thing, after each segment, there's going to be a Q&A. So if they said something that got you excited or got you triggered, got you going in whatever kind of way, there is going to be a Q&A portion after the talk sessions. You understand? Y'all got that, right? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I think that's a little bit about everything. All right. Okay, let's get into it because I'm ready to get straight to it. This first podcast, they actually just launched, I believe, in January. They just launched in January. They're about 8 episodes in, and the last episode actually featured our very own Lisa Love. Now, if you think you know Lisa, once you watch this podcast, you're definitely going to learn more about her because they created an atmosphere that was comfortable for her to be able to open up. It was a really, really, really good episode. So, with that being said, this podcast has an incredible biographical series lined up featuring serial entrepreneurs. Their aim is to take a deep dive into the fascinating careers of their guests, exploring the challenges they've faced and the lessons that they've learned. Right now, at this time, I want you guys to give a warm round of applause to Chapo and Sav. This is the Chop It Up podcast that is going to be before you today. This is the Chop It Up podcast. Oh, come on, brothers. Come on. Yeah.
How y'all feeling? Where y'all energy at today? How y'all feeling?
My check.
All right. Well, we about to get ready to introduce our guest speakers for today.
How y'all doing? All right, for our first guest, he is no stranger to y'all. We have a military veteran, full-time entrepreneur of 8 years, owner of the great groom service of IAC Cologne, inspiring actor, and father of one of the dopest kids in the world. Give it up for Ray the Great.
Let's go, Ray. Boy, Nino Brown. All right. So we got our second guest coming up. She's been in business for 13 years with Rapido Financial LLC. Her services are insurance, tax, business formation, notoriety. She has 8 years with Rapido Motors. They have used car sales, auto financing, in-house financing. Y'all give a big round of applause for Miss Curry. Doing Miss All right. We got our third guest coming up. So she was raised in Dallas, Texas, lived a little time in Atlanta, and now she's back in the D. Her family, they've owned the Pan Africa Connection bookstore for 34 years here in Dallas, Texas. Y'all check that out when y'all get some time. She has her own children's book. She's a successful food safety company tester. She also does counseling for medical cannabis companies. Y'all give a big round of applause for Miss Aggie.
It's not that I don't.
Man, it's been a long time coming. I'm excited to have y'all on here.
How y'all feeling?
Feeling good, feeling great.
Y'all look nice. Everybody look good. Yeah, man. So I'm glad everybody can make it. I'm glad everybody could all join us. We got a special podcast we finna jump right into. So let's go head first. So this is for Ray and Curry. How did you two make the transition from employee to full-time entrepreneur?
Hello, everyone. My name is Curry. Like they said before, my story, I always like to tell it because the first thing people usually ask, especially when you're an entrepreneur, the big question is, how do I, focus on my business if I'm working, or did I give up my job, to start my business? And I always tell people, I'll have to be honest with you. That was not my story. And I can be honest with people and transparent to say, I don't know if I would have ever walked away from corporate just to start my business. It kind of was just a situation that kind of came to me, and I just took that path. So when I first moved to Dallas, I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I moved to Dallas in 2002. I started at Geico Insurance, and I became an underwriter and then went into claims. So my background was heavily in insurance. From there, I took a position to do insurance for mortgage companies and companies that funded homes. And then in 2008, that's when the mortgage crash happened and that company went out of business. So I was laid off. During the time, that was when Obama had first got into office, about 2008, 2009, and unemployment was pretty nice. So I could coast a little bit. And my
They
mom
was
took
breaking their bread off, wasn't they?
yeah. And my mom was like, why don't, and I, immediately the person in me, I was immediately just trying to find another job. But my mom came to me and she said, why don't you take this time to figure out what it is you really want to do? A friend of mine, he had attempted to open up his own insurance agency slash tax office that year when I first got laid off because someone told him how lucrative it was, and he allowed someone else to run that business for him because he was working and traveling. Well, those people ran his business into the ground. So he approached me and he asked me if I would go and take some classes to learn how to do accounting and stuff like that. And if the next year, if I would be willing to work for him. And at first I kind of thought, I don't know, because it was someone that I was kind of dating. And I didn't know if he was just trying to gas me up or what was going on. And I just thought about it when months went by. And I said, are you serious? And he was like, I am. He was like, I can show you the location and everything. And I kind of followed his path. And, he kind of gave me the blueprint on what to look for, what areas we wanted to focus on, because what ended up happening is that my business that I currently have, my clientele is primarily about 75 to 80% of the Hispanic population here in Dallas. And that's what we targeted. And that because we went that route different from other people who attempt to open up this type of service, it kind of kept us in business all year round. And I kind of got the niche on how to be successful with building up my client base, and was able to open up several offices after I left him. I worked for him for 2 years and helped him that first year. His business didn't get ran into the ground. And then we even opened up a second office the second year. Then after my second year, because of reasons, I went my own way back in about 2010. And now I have 3 locations on my own. I had four at one point, but I kind of let that one go because it wasn't really picking up too much. But I just got the formula on targeting my client base, and I don't know, it's just something I kind of fell into. So that's kind of how I got started. And then from there, I wanted to find a second business that I wanted to open because I just didn't want to have all my eggs in one basket. And then I thought about, because when I was doing taxes, the number one thing people do when they get their income tax check is they want to buy cars. So I went and got my auction license back in 2015, and then I started selling just cash cars. And then I said, well, what can I do to make more money? And I was like, what if I could finance them? But I didn't want to have heavily tote the note business where I was backing all of the financing. So I went and got my finance license and built relationships with banks and credit unions. And I'm also able to offer financing. So I am a lot of people think that I'll just sell cars, but they don't know, like, I have I'm a dealer, just like Clay Cooley, just like everybody else. And I offer the same financing and have relationships with those banks. So I kind of just, I tell people all the time, it wasn't something I was sitting around thinking, I'll be honest and say, I can't necessarily say I would have quit my job and fell into, and just done this. It was just something that kind of happened for me.
So you the plug.
A lot of people say,
You barbecue, sell dope, do hair, all in the same house.
Ray, what about you?
How y'all doing? Boy, y'all sound sleepy than a mother. But for me, I never wanted to be a barber professionally. Let's just start there. My goal was to retire out of the military. Uh, I got in the military straight out of high school. Graduated in '08. Got in the military straight out of high school. Did 6 years. Ended up having a bad car accident and got a medical discharge. Um, and they medically discharged. When they medically discharged me, I was probably on bed rest for maybe like probably about 3 months because it was a bad accident. I flipped my car 4 times, threw me through the windshield. Face was broken in like 16 places. It was a bad deal. But anyway, while I was waiting on my benefits and stuff from Uncle Sam to kick in and go through or whatever the case may be, I started looking for like little jobs or whatever the case may be. So I started working at a Nissan plant in Mississippi. That's where I'm from, Mississippi. I started working at a Nissan plant there, and that didn't work out. Got into some stuff there that didn't work out, and then I worked for this landscaping company called Hollandsworth Lawn and Landscape. And I worked there for about 2 years because I liked it because I could relate it to cutting hair. Because this whole time I never stopped cutting hair, but I just wasn't doing it professionally. Even when I was in the military on off days or whatever the case may be, I was cutting people hair, like chopping jokers up. Really didn't even have to touch my check that I was getting on the first and the 15th. But fast forward, I left that job because unfortunately the owner of that business was racist and he was very outspoken about it. He didn't care. And so I fell back on what I knew, started cutting hair, uh driving around going to people's houses. And in Mississippi, it's not like how you can go up the street around the corner and go to 7-Eleven here. Like Mississippi, man, you go out your house, the first store probably 30 minutes away. And in Mississippi, 30 minutes is 30 miles. Like it's not 30 minutes, 7 miles how it is out here type of stuff. So I'm driving 30 minutes, 45 minutes, trying to, you know what I'm saying, cut people hair for like $25 type of deal. So anyway, I cut my oldest brother hair. I've been cutting his hair since I was like 11 years old. And he finally told me, he was like, hey, bro, when you gonna go to school instead of just hustling like this? And so after that conversation, I went and enrolled in school, um, and started working as an apprentice in the shop until I graduated school. And that's how I ended up cutting hair professionally. And the whole situation with my brand is people think it's just a cologne brand. Cologne is just the first item that I'm selling, but it's a luxury brand owned by a black man. And I got into that. God gave it to me in a dream. Like I was literally sleeping real good, and I was sleeping real good, man. And literally, I never forget. It was 2:35 in the morning. I wake up out my sleep because he showed me the name in my dream, and I had to write all that down and get busy with it. And so I was trying to be strategic about it. I know everybody's selling shirts, clothes, shoes, hats, whatever. And I just wanted to step into an arena that I didn't hear a lot of. Now that I'm in it, I see it a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Because I did the research about it. But initially, I didn't know anything or know anybody. I can't go talk to nobody that has their own fragrance. You know what I'm saying? And that's what pushed me towards doing a fragrance first. But I will have other things coming. And so, yeah, that's my story.
Adrian, how about you?
So, hey everybody. My name is Adjoa, but mostly everybody on social media and in Dallas call me Adji. I grew up with my parents own a business called Pan African Connection Bookstore and Resource Center located in Oak Cliff. We're going on 34 years of business. So I'm the firstborn. I kind of grew up seeing the ups and downs of how to run a bookstore, how to run a successful Black business in the city of Dallas. I went to college at Arkansas Pine Bluff for fisheries biology. Got an awesome job offer once I graduated, but I did not pass the drug test. And so
It's on that ganja.
I was expecting a urine test. They did a hair sample, and we know how that go. And so they offered me a position, but it wasn't as much as the pay. And I'm like, well, I'm not working for no less than this. And so my one homegirl was like, well, I can get you on with Harris County down in Houston, blah, blah, blah. So I ended up working for Harris County as a food inspector. And they put me in a predominantly Mexican neighborhood. So I had a chance to learn Spanish and dive really deep into ethnic foods and things like that. And I just kind of noticed, like, man, number one, a lot of people are getting sick from eating these foods. And how can I help? So I started my own food safety company where I do food safety certification classes. I've been doing that on the side forever. When COVID hit, well, when Hurricane Harvey hit, I moved back to Dallas. I was over the flooding. And so I was working for the city of Richardson. But when COVID hit, we only worked like 2 days out of the week. So the other days, I just started doing food safety classes 24/7. It started to pick up. I got some contracts with the University of Arkansas system where I did every single school in Arkansas. I did all of their food safety certifications. And it just got pretty lucrative, pretty good. I didn't have time for my day job no more. I also dealt with racist people. I've always only been the only black girl at whatever job I'm at. So I'm an AKA. And once they found that out at my old job, they was like, "Oh, so you're voting for Kamala?" And I was just like, "Who else?" And yeah, it just got pretty bad from there. And so I ended up resigning, doing food safety full time. And I also kind of thought like I'm not a morning person. I was late to work every morning, but I was such a good employee they could never fire me. I was just awesome. So I used to think like, man, what can I do where I don't have to like wake up and be at work every day at 8 a.m. I'm like, let me just do my own thing. So I just use the power of social media, my background in business from my family bookstore, making millions of flyers, going to USPS, sending them out to every single restaurant, getting calls, and I'm steady booked every. Right now, I probably work food safety 3 days out of the week, and I'm good. I went back and got my. Thank y'all.
Y'all clap it up for her. Clap it up.
Because I am not a morning person. So all of my classes start after 11 a.m. But I ended up going back to get my master's degree, and I got it in the business of cannabis. So I know you said my medical marijuana stuff, but yeah, I also consult for medical cannabis companies in the state of Texas. I know a lot of people like, oh, it's not legal here. It is legal, just not for all of us. But I do that on the side, and I test cannabis. So yeah, that's me.
That's dope. That's dope. All right. Well, we're gonna hop into question number 2. So Adji and Curry, this question is for you all. You know, a lot of people want to start a business and not everybody has the capital. What are some ways to be able to fund your business if you don't have the capital?
I would say, especially right now, is a good time for anyone that's trying to start a business because of what happened after COVID with the SBA loans and EIDL and PPP. A lot of finance companies are taking advantage of the want for business funding. So right now, you have all kind of companies that are popping out of the woodwork that are offering funding for either people who currently own businesses and need more funding because they want to expand, or for people who are starting. Probably on my phone alone, I get 10 to 15 calls a day from all these little companies that are popping up because they're trying to take it, not take advantage, but trying to, I guess, jump on the bandwagon because people are looking for that ever since COVID. Um, if your credit score is good enough, or you have maybe some history built up on paying off maybe a debt, like as far as your mortgage or car payments, right now it's really not hard to get funding for business right now, especially with these companies that are popping out of the woodwork. So that's one option that's going, that's happening right now. For me, like I said, those 2 years when I worked helping the gentleman to build his company, I kind of just stacked the money that I was making from him.
You came in with a plan.
And yeah, because I knew eventually it wasn't gonna work. To continue to work for him. And I'll also say this, that one thing I can tell you too is that sometimes you just don't know where a plan can take you, listening to your story and your story about working for different people and things that you were going through. Because when I was at Geico, I honestly and truly thought that that was the say all be all for me. I thought that I was going to work my way up for this company and I was going to be president and that was going to be it and I was going to retire. And I actually got fired because I had a son that I was not expecting to have. And I had a son and I had to put him in daycare, and it was hard for me to get to work, and I got fired for being late. Um, and I remember being in the office, and I was boohooing. And I remember it was so bad because I was the best claims adjuster on the floor. My manager who fired me, he was crying. Um, that's how bad it was because he did not want to fire me. And I remember just thinking, like, what was I gonna do this is going to be horrible. I'm not going to be able to take care of my kids. I remember being so devastated that day. But when I look back at it, I see that what it was really God, because I was content and had already decided that I was going to stay there and I was going to be happy working for these people and I was going to work my way up. And I didn't even fathom that I could have my own business. And if that day would not have happened, then I wouldn't be where I am today. So
That's
I just
deep.
want to share that.
God knew your worth.
I agree with everything you said. It's so many loans out here for small businesses right now. If you got good credit, if you got bad credit, you probably could get some loans, but that interest rate might kill you on the back end. But like me and a lot of like my little brothers are entrepreneurs. We all worked a full-time job while getting our business off the ground. And I'm one of those people who I never want to go broke. So I literally wrote out all of my bills, how much I need to put into my business so that I would save a percentage of my whatever full-time check I would get and put it into study materials or computers, laptops, whatever I needed for my business. And I literally worked overnight while doing my other business in the daytime. I might have got like 4 hours of sleep. I was literally a vampire, but I believe in when you are an entrepreneur, you have to sacrifice. And, you know, I know a lot of people offer money to entrepreneurs. Like I got offers for different things, but you don't have to always accept the first offer that somebody offers you. It's always when somebody offers you money, they're going to want something back. So before you take money from any big company or small company, they might seem like they're trying to help, which some people are, but just research them first before you are in the bed with the devil. And, you know, this company might have a bad name and now you're associated with them. You're tied with them for life. So I like to be self-reliant. If you can get the money on your own and then do your research on who you want to collaborate with, if you do need more capital. But my biggest thing for entrepreneurs is don't always accept that first offer of big money. Yeah, 10 grand, 20 grand might look nice when you got $0, but you don't know what is, you don't know what it comes with. So do your research, even with banks, do your research with whoever you go with so that, you're not tied to somebody bad.
You don't want to end up in one of them death row deals.
Right.
And you stuck for life.
And I would add to what she's saying, make sure you have a plan too. A lot of people, offer, like she said, offer you money. I had a lot of people during the COVID time where they were getting the grants and they would come to me and say, should I take this money? I was like, well, do you have a plan for it? Because you have to pay this money back. Making sure you have a plan. And also too, sometimes when you're starting a business, sometimes, you don't need everything that you think you need. Sometimes you can start out with the basics. Like I've had people who come to me and they're starting a business and and I commend them because they want to have everything in order and they got the software. And sometimes you don't really need all of that to start with. Just making sure you start with the basic things that you need and working your way up. Like for example, people who have wanted to get into the insurance field. Sometimes I know a gentleman right now makes about 25K just from working from home. And he works on his laptop and he has his own insurance agency where he sells insurance to all of his friends. He doesn't have an office or anything. He basically works from home. So just making sure that, that you're not overindulging in expenses that you really just don't need.
I got a question real quick. For startup businesses, right? From your lady's perspective, what do you think is the best practice on building business credit for those that are trying to get their feet wet into the business world? Don't have business credit. You don't?
So one of the things is not even going out getting credit, or one of the things it's stuff simple as setting up if you have an LLC that's set up or some type of business entity set up in your name, you can start out with small accounts with like Vistaprint. And Vistaprint, and you set that up and that'll start you off with a Duns.
Net 30s.
Yeah. Duns and Bradstreet number, which starts to generate a business. Some people might even have a business profile right now and they don't even know it. You can check with Duns and Bradstreet to see if you have one. If you've ever set up a Vista print account where you just maybe printed some flyers. Uline, another one, any of those Staples. Yeah, Staples. So it doesn't even mean that you have to go out and actually go and get credit. You can just set up these accounts in a business name and that'll start to generate a business profile for you.
Okay. That's dope. That's dope. But we're going to move on to the next question number 3. So, time is the one thing that we can't get back. How have you maintained a work-life balance while running your business? What advice do you have for some entrepreneurs that are struggling to balance time throughout the day? As you know, it's real out here.
Okay, so my name is Adjoa, which means born on a Monday. So I literally take every single Monday off work. Like now that I'm self-employed, right? I don't. My phone is on airplane mode most of the day. It's self-care. I do whatever I want on Mondays. So that's my day of like just to me because you will go crazy working with people every single day, and that's how I kind of practice my work-life balance.
So I'm just learning what Angie is doing because for about 10 years I was working myself to death. Where everything it got to a point though where as I started to grow, everything started to fall apart. And so I really had to do what she said. I had to set some time because sometimes we get into the hustle, and this might not even be for entrepreneurs, just for anybody who believes in really working hard. If you're a hard worker, sometimes in your mind, you just think, if I'm not constantly working, if I'm not constantly grinding, then that means I'm not getting anything accomplished or I'm not doing anything. And your kids can fall to the wayside, your personal life, your mate. And that's what I was doing for a long period of time. I was just thinking that I had to be working all the time. And I had to have my hands on everybody and everything. About 2 or 3 years ago, I hired a business consultant that came in to kind of help me adjust some things in my life because I was about to suffer what they call burnout. Burnout is when you may be successful, your business might be thriving, but you will burn yourself completely outward to the point where you don't even want to show up at work anymore. And that's where I was at. My mom had just passed. We had just left COVID, and I drove up to my business one day and was getting ready to just want to sell it because I had completely burned myself out. So I had to learn what Miss Angie already knew was that I had to start. So this was my first year where I actually was like, I'm just going to put some people in place and I'm just going to take my hands off of it and fall back and started doing more things for myself. It was hard for a lot of my clients and a lot of people I work with because they were so used to having access to me and being able to call me, but I was redirecting them. And I'm not gonna lie, it's been I probably didn't every year I try to grow and profit. This year I probably didn't grow as much as I usually do, but what I got in return is a better personal and private life for myself.
It's dope. That's dope.
Me, I'm still in the heat of it. Like, I don't know the work life balance. Like, mostly because I feel like my work is my life. You know what I'm saying? I really enjoy what I do. Like, I love cutting hair. Like, I love spraying that cologne and selling it. You know what I'm saying? One thing I did get advice on, and then I shut up is bro, learn how to say no. My issue had been for years saying yes to everything and giving too many yeses to where I couldn't even keep up with the stuff that I was saying yes to.
All right, so we got the last question of the segment before we jump into Q&A. This is for Chapo and Ray. Do you have any advice for aspiring entrepreneurs who are just getting started on their own journey?
Yeah, whatever you're doing, be consistent. Inconsistency, and I'm saying this from a testimonial standpoint. Like, I'm a very, very, very talented barber, but at one point in my life, I guess you could say I had gotten arrogant, so to speak, not verbally, you know what I'm saying? You know, I don't talk no and stuff like that, but it showed in my actions to where, I was showing up when I felt like it, you know what I'm saying? Just being very inconsistent. So,
Would you say complacent?
complacent. Yeah. So whatever it is, however you start off, that hunger and that drive and that eagerness that you start off with, maintain that. Do whatever the hell you gotta do to maintain and keep that drive. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, I know for me, a lot of mine had to do with who I was surrounding myself with too, because they were feeding the ego as well. You know what I'm saying? And not you want people around you that will applaud you, but you want people around you that'll check you too and let you know, hey, bro, you out of order.
Accountability is important.
Yeah, you feel what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? If you got a bunch of yes men and women around you, change circles, dog, because you need some people that's gonna hold you accountable. You know what I'm saying? So just remain consistent. That's what I say. That like the biggest thing for me, remain consistent.
No, that's big advice. For me, I'm gonna have to agree with the consistency. my biggest thing is when I lack motivation, I try and stay consistent. When you stay consistent, you find your motivation again. So that's the biggest thing. Like Ray said, the circle of people that you're around, you definitely want to build a team. For me and my people, I'm not trying to do the Golden State move and just go hop on a winning team. The people that I surround myself with, that we started together, we're going to work till we get it right. And we're going to put everybody in position to be able to grow and do what we're trying to do. And then the last thing would be just follow your dream. If you started with something and you had the mindset that you want to go in and do it, don't let nobody change your mind about what you want to do. If you wanted to be somebody that made shoes and your buddy said, nah, man, that ain't your thing, keep going at it. Personally, I think over time, you'll grow, you'll get better at your craft. And it's like a sport to yourself. Everybody plays in a league of their own. The more that you perfect your craft, the more that you do something, the better that you'll get at it. So for me, stay consistent, get in the right circle, and follow your dream and do what you want to do, and you'll get to where you want to be.
And last thing I want to add to the group is if you want to go out and do something and you say you want to, I don't know, be the president, and that person says, why the hell you want to be the president? Well, why would I listen to you and you ain't never been the president before? You know what I'm saying? Why would I listen to you and you ain't never been a CEO before? You can't shoot on my dream and you ain't never been there before. So, like you said, stand on 10 and you going to win. That's how I live. Stand on your 10, you going to win. So, but let's clap it up for our guests. And I think, Nina, we got a Q&A.
Any questions? Any questions, comments, concerns?
What's the biggest lesson that entrepreneurship has taught you about you?
Ooh, that's good. Entrepreneurship has taught me that I wasn't as much of a dog as I thought I was in regards to like willing to do whatever it takes. Like that, my drive wasn't like talking about. Cause like what I thought it took, it takes that times 100. You know what I'm saying? In order to make it become successful, because I was in my mind, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get this team together and it's gonna be X, Y, and Z. But in reality, you can't expect nobody to take care of your baby like you take care of your baby. And I was putting my drive or the stuff that I needed to have for myself and my business off on other people. And so it checked me in that point. And that's one thing that I'm dealing with daily in regards to like how my grandma used to say it, and excuse my French, but lighting the fire under my ass and getting it done, regardless to what I got going on. Because it's easy to let your emotions or what you got going on in life put water on your fire, but you gotta get past that and keep pushing. So yeah, that's what it was to me.
For me, I didn't realize how much of a drive I had until I came into entrepreneurship. My plan when I was in college was that I was going to go to law school, but I got pregnant my senior year. And then I did finish with my degree, and then I just went to working from there. And then I thought the big dream for me was over. I was like, well, what I'm gonna do is just make the best of what I can do, and that's when I got the job, and I was gonna work my way up and become the president of the company. And what I didn't realize was that just because my generation, I don't know how old everybody is here, but I think I'm the oldest on the stage. But I came from a generation where my mom, kind of put in my head that the only way to be successful was to go to college, get a degree, and become a lawyer, doctor. Of that, entrepreneurship wasn't even thrown in the mix unless you had some kind of special talent. So once that was over for me, I just thought, well, this is the way I have to go because I messed up on this end. I didn't realize that it could, when I got into entrepreneurship, I realized that same drive I had when I wanted to go to school and become a lawyer, that I could apply that anywhere, and it's just in me, and how hard I was willing to work, and that success doesn't have to come from just the typical way of what everybody thinks is supposed to be. School isn't for it, and I'm not knocking anybody who goes to school because I have a degree, but sometimes that may not be the route for you. That doesn't mean that you still can't be successful. You can't be intelligent. You still can't open a business. I just feel like this type of drive that most people who fall into entrepreneurship is something that's inside of you. And it, like, I'll give you an example. If something was to happen to my businesses tomorrow, I still believe in my heart that I would be able to move on to something else and still be as successful because that's just the type of drive that I have.
I would say the thing that my business taught me about myself is to be a kinder person. and to be more thankful. So, like I said, I'm in food safety education, and sometimes some of the best cooks, they can't read or write. So I'm trying to teach you something out of book, and you can't read it for yourself.
Big Chief, you know how to read. You know how to, I was just checking.
So it was a reality check because sometimes I go into places and the people I'm teaching, they can't read or write, so I have to kind of change up my style. And sometimes for people that could be very frustrating, but for me, I just had to kind of take a deep breath and dive deeper into and just being a kinder person. And after I get them certified and kind of realize, not judging them for not knowing how to read or write, because some people just never learn, but they know how to cook really well, and I just want you to do it safely. So, just being a kinder person, but it kind of taught me to be thankful as well.
No, that's dope. That's dope. I guess for myself, me and Sav are entrepreneurs. It's to respect people. You know, when a lot of people get ready to start a business, depending on what you're doing, you always have an opportunity to bring other people in or do something solo, but you're gonna need some type of help in order to grow and get to where you're at. And everybody's time is valuable. So initially with one of the businesses that I've started, I felt like everybody was on my time. Like when I get ready to do something, people need to be ready when I want to do it. I got to have it now. I have to learn, and I've learned through over the time and the years from starting my business that, you have to respect people's time. You got to coordinate. You got to be able to make stuff to where it works around other people's schedules. So for me, respect people, respect their time, and it'll give you the ability to be able to grow.
I was gonna say for me personally and stuff that I got going on, faith. I don't know if you're a spiritual person, but faith is a big thing. It's people that we've interviewed on our platform. I'm sure all these people here that are on this stage right here, they've all been battle tested with their faith. They've all been probably told no. They probably already had hiccups and speed bumps and people telling them no, you can't do it. Family members that probably weren't trying to believe into their dream, and they were battle tested, and they standing up here because they had faith. And I'm telling you, that faith is a real thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't know who's spiritual in here, but for us up here, I know for a fact, faith is a key factor into winning this thing called entrepreneurship, for sure.